Ladies and gentlemen, I mean to tell you, baby, open up, get the notes because we got more news about the United States National High School Champions League, baby. This is the place where you get all the real business about what's going on and how it's going on and how it happened. And my guess is the guy. He's no longer a guest. He's the co-host for Wales Certified. Wales Certified. He's a co-host for Wales Certified. We're going to get a name for the program because we're going to have a regular basis. So, ladies and gentlemen, my buddy, our pal, Jim Harte, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Kevin. Great to be here again with you.
All right, you big lug. Hey, now, I want you to know that I know that you know, and tell Perry and the other guy that is always behind the scenes. Wilson, Mr. Wilson. But to say thank you for behalf of myself and everybody who's been following the St. Louis High School Champions Girls League. It's coming to an end. Tonight is the Final Four to go to Saturday at 5 for the honor of lifting up the High School Champions League Cup, named after Terry Minkler, and then the virtuoso. She leaves with the best soccer ball, and by the way, the only soccer ball that you'll get the Wales to play some ball with is the select ball. If you don't have a select ball, the whale ain't playing soccer with you, I guarantee. And that's indoor sand ball. That's any kind. Soccer, it's got to be a select ball. So I want to thank you because you and God help me with his name. I know
Dave
Wilson. Who?
Dave Wilson.
Yes, Dave Wilson. Dave, thank you. The two of you got this together and made it what it is. And then Perry Vandenbeck, PVB from old St. Louis. Yeah, he came. One of his teammates or classmates is in the Final Four. Gray Color, and yeah, it's so soccer is a family. And I'm really happy to be a part of your family, Jim and Dave. You said
Likewise, Kevin.
all right. So that's that, and I think you can take that to get a cup of coffee. No donut, but you can get a cup of coffee off of it. And so now it's. That's why we have to have it on because it's magnificent the news that you have about the Champions League. You got to share it, and this
Well, I
is
will.
okay. Well, this
I
is
will.
it.
But
Go
I
have
want
at
to.
it.
I want to ask you a question because people are wondering. People outside the St. Louis metro area that follow the Champions League movement. Can you tell us a little bit about this Final Four, and is Cor Jesus in it?
Absolutely, and they bring Maddie Di Maria like the.
Those are the names, the three names two names, Maddie Di Maria, that everybody knows who she is. She's the former Virtuoso Award winner from last year. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And the team,
So,
she comes from the team that won it. They want to come for a repeat.
so is the feeling in St. Louis that it's their trophy to lose and her Virtuoso Award to lose, or is there another favorite? How does
Well,
the
let me
Final
tell
Four
you
shape up?
something about something, Jim. There is not enough money to tell me, for me to tell you that. Because in St. Louis, baby, hey, you gotta play. You gotta play the deal. It ain't nothing you to lose. We'll take it from you. Is that if those Chargers from Koryesu Academy don't bring their A game, they're gonna go behind, sit in the back of the class, man. Because I don't care who you got, where you come from, it's game on right here, right now. So at 4:30, when it kicks off, they play St. Dominic, the Crusaders of St. Dominic that live,
Wow.
yeah, that play just right up the street. So Gray Keller's been a real influence helping the Champions League get up, its legs, and the way is they don't have to take a back seat to traditional championship soccer, the Crusaders, so it's a real good matchup. And then,
Wow.
yeah, and then it does. Then, as the as it gets later in the day, here comes the Bulldogs. Here, whoa, whoa, the Bulldogs of Fort Zumwalt South, which another school does not have to take a back seat to soccer in this area, and they play host because they won the three games and they scored 11 goals and gave up none, and so that was
Wow.
the tiebreaker. Is that they had the three shutouts. They were the only ones to have the three shutouts,
Okay.
and they play Neerix Hall.
Oh,
Yeah, the markers of Neerix Hall. They wear the green, man, and I'm telling you, the you know they they ain't no stranger to state championships and championships of any and all kind.
well,
Uh,
that's Coach Had's, isn't it?
what's that again?
That's Coach Haddock,
I'm
Brian Haddock. Isn't he the Newark
Oh
Hall
yeah,
coach?
yeah. No, he passed on. Not he passed on the duties for upper teaching. He had to.
Oh,
Yeah, he had to. He couldn't do both,
okay.
and so he's a an administrator at
Okay.
the sisters the boys' school, the brothers' school, Vianney High School.
Got it.
And so he had to make a choice, and so he's there as an administrator and as a coach there, and he had to give up the coach, but he had to give it over to, I don't know if this name dropped, Mike Sorber.
What?
His wife is the coach.
No way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, greatness doesn't fall from the tree too far, does it, baby?
No, my gosh. You just reminded me of one of your future guests, Danielle Fotopoulos, down here. And it just blows me away the connections that the Champions League brings. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and so they're looking forward, and they're going to pack the stands with green, and it's going to be just a splendid affair. And then that all comes up. There's four came, only two can go to the championship Saturday late afternoon, and
Yeah.
see how that plays, man. We'll get
Well,
back.
we have all these tournaments and things that kids do, the Southwest this and the East that and the here and there and regional and this and that. But wipe all that away. If you want one title, it would be we're the best in St. Louis. That's all. That's all we need to say. We're the best in St. Louis. You can have the rest of them. I mean, the rest of the country, of course, knows the impact of St. Louis. and the history of St. Louis. St. Louis isn't the only one that knows and understands this. Uh, People like Perry who have come to Tampa, but so many others have spread the word, and everybody knows what it's all about. To have the Champions League in St. Louis, and then to have a tournament where the winner of it is crowned the best in St. Louis. I mean, that's like gold. That's amazing.
And of the top five teams, the uh, in the area, the only other one is over in Illinois. So we have the top 14 ranks in coaching polls and so forth, power rankings. That the top four teams in both classes, we have so many teams, we have classes. So
Yeah.
the, the champion, the number one of the class three, class four, game on. You
The
you
cream rises, doesn't it?
Oh man, yeah, and they had. I mean, there was no walk-ons, walkaways. They had to earn it every game, man.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Well, I can't wait to see. I'm fascinated with knowing that you have a player of Matty DiMaria's caliber going up against the coaching challenge of Greg Keller, aided by Terry Mickler, trying to come up with a plan to to figure out how to get past that team. That is just so interesting and fascinating. I can't wait to hear how it all turns out.
And
And I just wish I was there to see it.
yeah, just to put a little sprinkle on it, they got a hot, dynamic, unbelievable freshman. So
Wow.
Maddie DiMaria is is schooling the freshman, and the freshman is saying, "Bring it on, Maddie. Here we go."
So don't pay too much attention to Maddie, or you'll get bit by the youngster.
Exactly, exactly.
That's cool. That's really cool, Kevin.
Yeah,
Wow, so great. Well, exciting. Can't wait to hear about it. Can't wait to follow it. And the ship just marches on.
yeah.
So I've got some news to share with the fans of the High School Champions League. I've got five news items here. I'll go through them one by one, and then we'll get to that final.
Wonderful.
So each of them really comes down to a name. So news item number one, the name is David, and the last name is hyphenated. It's Kawesi Mizuka. I'm going to spell it if anybody wants to look this guy up. It's Kawesi hyphen Muzooka. David is a board member with U.S. Youth Soccer, and he is just retiring from the military. He's been in the military about 20 years, very high up in the U.S. Navy. He's got a master's degree from MIT, a researcher. Uh, Interestingly, Kevin, you'll love this. He played college soccer at Wake Forest, and one of his teammates was Nick Zlatar's son, and they played together. And and David told me that Nick used to coach him from the stands because David played out on the wing, and and Nick would give him pointers and help him out and all this sort of stuff. Well, David is transitioning into the civilian sector, and somebody suggested that he get involved with the U.S. Youth Soccer Board of Directors because he's a researcher and he's got a lot to say about the way soccer is goes in this country, especially youth soccer. And we all know the narrative about pay to play and the pay to play pushing up against high school soccer, and and why can't we all just get along together? And why does it have to be that the expensive pay to play clubs are the only ones we focus on? So he's written a couple of research papers, actually more than two, but two in particular that really highlight this issue. And So I saw those papers, read those papers, reached out to David, and he was gracious enough to have a conversation and talk. And we found a lot of common ground. And so David has become a fan of the High School Champions League movement, and is touting the High School Champions League movement to the point where he wrote a letter to the chair. Let's see, I guess it's the CEO of U.S. Youth Soccer, and in the letter, he's talked to the CEO about the High School Champions League movement, and he's put us together with that person, and he said, I'm going to quote from his letter. Uh, Tom Condon is the leader of USU Soccer, and he said, Jim, I thought Tom Condon and you should know each other. And then he goes on and explains how Perry Vanderbeck, Terry Mickler, Tom Byer, and all the people that are involved in this movement with us, and how USU Soccer needs to know about it. Part of his paper was how USU Soccer is so hyper focused on a small sliver of players at the very top, the players that can afford to pay for expensive clubs, and how they miss this whole giant group, 900,000 high school soccer players. There's 900,000 high school soccer players in America. That's kind of an amazing statistic. I didn't realize that it was that many. So we've got now this guy, David, on our side, this MIT researcher. He's putting us together with key people. In the meantime, I've put David together with Nick, with Tom Byer, and with Robert Wilson, who you've had on your podcast, with Terry, the writer of the book, The Football Manifesto. Uh, and so we've connected all those people. Well, that's what we do. You talked at the beginning about a family. Our family just keeps growing, Kevin. And we bring these people in, we connect them with each other. Many of them come on the Whale Certified podcast, and it just becomes this wider and wider net of people that are believing in what we're doing. So right now, I'm in the process of setting up a meeting with this guy who's the leader of USU Soccer, because he wants to find out about the High School Champions League movement. Specifically, how is it that we have this movement going on under the radar, grassroots, volunteers? Everybody's a volunteer, from Perry and Tom Byer right on down to yourself and myself and Greg Keller and Terry and Dave Wilson and all the others. How is it that this happens in America, where everything in soccer is really all about getting paid? So they want to find out about it. They're doing so we're moving that ball down the road. When I meet with this guy, I'll come back on with you and I'll tell you how that went. But that's the first item, is David Kowesi Mizuka. I encourage everybody in the Whale Certified audience to Google this guy and read the papers that he has written about the state of U.S. youth soccer. They will blow you away. And after you read them, then take a moment to realize, now this guy is embracing the High School Champions League movement. The guy, this MIT researcher that is writing these papers and connecting us with everybody. It's really big. It's a big deal. So that's item number one. Before I move on, I'm going to pause because I tend to talk a lot. Do you have anything you want to throw in there? If not, I'll just keep going.
I get my jaws dropped and I'm waiting for more.
Okay, item number two is Shane Benko. Okay, your audience won't know about Shane Benko because he's a young guy. He's 24 years old. He played in the High School Champions League here in Tampa. One of in the first two editions, he played for Jesuit High School, and Shane also. I coached Shane when he was a youngster, ages 8, 9, 10. Came to my soccer camp, worked in my soccer camp. Great kid, wonderful player, and a super smart kid. Well, now Shane is 24. He lives in Washington, D.C. He works for the United States House of Representatives Committee on Small Business. So he's a research assistant with the U.S. Committee on Small Business. The U.S. House Committee on Small Business is taking a direct interest in the fact that the World Cup is coming to Tampa. And I'm not to Tampa, but to the U.S. In this summer, and they want to study and understand and aid in how the U.S. How the World Cup impacts small business in all of the cities that the U.S. is in, or that the World Cup is in. So Shane is deep into this research project. Well, Shane told me that he is going to be sure to include the High School Champions League as part of the narrative that they are working together with at the U.S. House of Representatives level. And he's of the mind that once high school soccer, or once the World Cup is finished, that the High School Champions League can become a follow on project for his committee that is studying soccer, because he says people's eyes are being opened in a way that he didn't, or that they didn't expect, by just the size of soccer, but not only that, by the problems in soccer here in our country, specifically the problems of pay to play and people getting left out of soccer. And he understands and resonates, and so do these members of Congress, with this idea. The idea is not everybody can afford expensive clubs, but everybody goes to high school, and almost every high school has a team that they can try out for. So finances are not a barrier to entry for a high school soccer player. And the Champions League, as you know, are five key principles. Principle number one: it doesn't cost any money to play in the Champions League. You just have to be good enough. So there's a lot of resonance there, and we're expecting that dog to hunt, so to speak. One more thing, Kevin, I think that Atletico Dallas, the upcoming expansion franchise in the Dallas Metroplex area, they are interested in a high school Champions League through connections with Terry and Perry. So you've got Mike McAlone down there and Brian Corcoran, and they have reached out to Perry and therefore to all of us on the movement to ask how can the high school Champions League be brought to the Dallas Metroplex, because they want to sponsor it in the same way that the Tampa Bay Rowdies sponsor the High School Champions League here in Tampa. And so we've had 3 meetings with them so far. So that's going well. But back to Shane Benko, the congressional assistant. Shane reached out and said, hey, we're bringing the U.S. House subcommittee to Dallas. Do you know anybody in the Dallas Metroplex? I said, as a matter of fact, we do. And we put Shane right in touch with our two contacts at Atletico Dallas for the High School Champions League. And those guys are now talking to Congress, and they're going to appear on a roundtable discussion of soccer in the Dallas Metroplex. All of this being brought together by the High School Champions League, by Perry Vanderbeck, knowing these guys, them reaching out and wanting to bring the Champions League to Dallas. So the tentacles reach far and deep. And you've got now David Koreshi Mazuka, former Senate fellow, Shane Benko, research assistant in the U.S. House, both hyper focused on the Champions League and both in our corner. So that's item number two. Something to keep an eye on. As this goes along, this will give us things to check back in on the Whale Certified podcast. I believe, Kevin, that both of these guys would come on as a guest for Whale Certified, and we can as we go along, we can see about getting them on here to give their sides of these stories, because these guys are dialed in at the highest level in this country. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah. And I would love for Shane Benko to get on with you, and for you as a coach to interview somebody, because you relate to these kids as players, somebody who played in the Champions League in Tampa and is now working in the U.S. Congress. That would be an interview I wouldn't want to miss.
It's kind of
So
like if you're not whale certified, why not?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the Wales Certified Alumni Club number
Oh,
three. That's Robert Wilson. So you and Terry had a couple of great shows with Robert Wilson. the author of the Football Manifesto, how American soccer can be saved, basically, is what his book is about. And listeners of the Whale Certified podcast will remember that Robert lives in Brazil, was born in St. Louis, went to Northwest High School, played football, baseball, basketball, never played soccer in St. Louis. But as an inner city kid, he just wasn't exposed to it. But then when he became in the financial sector and was sent down to Brazil to work on a hedge fund down in Brazil, he attended his first game of Flamengo Soccer Club, and the rest was history. He was hooked, and he realized, oh, this is the sport they talk about back in St. Louis all the time. I never knew about because I was playing these other sports, and Robert loved it, and he wrote this book about how the sport could be uh, rolled out better here in the U.S. Well, he's writing another book now. He's writing a follow-up book. So so I had a discussion with Robert, 2 hour long talk. We had to hang up because both of us had someplace to go. We might still be talking right now. We had so much to talk about. We talked about you, we talked about Terry, but we talked about his book. But he wanted to know more about the high school Champions League movement. He wanted to understand it better because he thinks it's an example of where the game can go in this country and how it isn't being properly supported. And so we right away got Robert connected with David Koesi Mazuka. So immediately, uh, Robert, who's writing books about American soccer, and David, who's doing research papers about American soccer, these two guys need to talk, right? Boom, it's done. They've connected. We also need to connect Robert with who? The great Tom Bayer out of Japan, another one that you've had on your show, because Tom Bayer is world renowned and trying hard to get his Soccer Starts at Home here in the United States. But Soccer Starts at Home spends a lot of time talking about the Brazilian model, and Robert is living the Brazilian model. Uh, and you'll remember Tom Bayer from our last talk. Tom Bayer was at our meeting that we had with Brooklyn FC to bring the Champions League to New York City. Tom Bayer is our national technical advisor for the Champions League movement, a volunteer like everybody else, and is glad to help us in any way he can from his platform over there in Japan. Well, we've gotten Robert, sorry, connected with Tom Bayer. We've also gotten Robert connected with the great Nick Zlatar, who is our one of our key supporters down here uh, in Tampa Bay. Nick is, if you recall, Nick was an instructor when I went through my coaching licenses. When I took my B and A license in the 1980s, Nick was one of our instructors on the national coaching staff. Well, Nick and I have remained in touch. Nick is now 83. He lives in Sarasota, Florida, but he's as dialed in and sharp and smart as he ever was. And he's come to a couple of Champions League finals. He's come to the draw a few times and is very gracious and willing to help in any way he can. Well, we got Robert connected with Nick because Robert wants to write about the origins of soccer in the United States. And Nick was there at the origins of soccer and helping create a lot of the structure. So we've gotten Robert connected with Nick, and of course we've gotten Robert connected with Tom and with Shane, the young man, the research assistant. Robert's connected with him, and with David. So we're bringing this whole family together, all of them connected by a common thread, and that common thread is the high school Champions League movement, connecting far and wide across continents, across congressional bodies of the Senate and House of Representatives, through all these different areas. So that's huge. It's a huge part of the story. So I can't wait to see how Robert's next book goes. Robert told me something very interesting. He said that he is now teaching a course at New York University, NYU, about soccer in America. And he wants to include this development as part of his course. I'm talking about the development of the High School Champions League, as part of his course that he teaches about the fabric of the game in the U.S. And often the unseen fabric of the game, because again, pay to play wants to make everybody think it's all about them, and we know that it is about them, but it's about a lot more as well. So just a side note to all the pay to play folks. We don't hate you. We love you because we love everybody involved in soccer. We just want you to leave us alone. Let us do our thing. We're, we're just trying to run a little harmless program over here. We're not trying to hurt anybody. So that's the story. So I said I had five names. Well, the first three are David, Shane, and Robert that have been all. We've met with all of them in the past week since you and I have talked last. I gotta take a breath.
All
That's a
right
lot.
then, baby.
Okay.
Man, I mean to tell you, wow, that's a mosaic already, and there's
It's a
more.
mosaic.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, baby. I mean to tell you, when you got the family, you see, you're my cousin. Oh, baby, how you doing, man? Yeah,
Exactly. Well, tell me the truth, Kevin. That's the way St. Louis is, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a book, 6 Degrees of Separation, and there is somebody. When you mention some, you from St. Louis, where you grew up, you'll know them or her, and that everybody knows somebody about some. It's uncanny.
Well,
That's
all
what.
you have to
And
all you
people
have to do
ask the number one question in St. Louis: "Hey, where'd you go to high school?"
Where'd you go to high school and what parish did you grow up in?
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So all you have to do is scroll down the 500 episodes of Whale Certified Podcast, and you could probably put a thumbtack on every city block in St. Louis eventually, right?
Ain't no kidding, man. Ain't no kidding.
Yeah. Well, it turns out the nation is the same,
Yeah.
and
I talked to a couple fellas, and they were amazed. And I didn't do it for, I just, did it to be doing it. Of talking about a street in St. Louis, one of the great avenues of St. Louis, from the start to the finish of the street. And I knew everything about every other block with this, that, up. And they were jaw dropped and they said, "Holy cow."
well, well, yeah, you've had a front row seat with all this history. These people coming to tell you their stories. In fact, Kevin, that could be a show idea for you. You know, what's the name of that street you were talking about? I mean, it could be any of these famous streets. You
King's
know,
Highway.
we're going to do a show on Kings Highway today, and that'll perk a lot of people up. Wait a minute, I know that. Anyway, but no, and I know your city a little bit. I went to college at Quincy, and of course Quincy recruited out of St. Louis, so I got to know a lot of people from St. Louis. And but I spent time in St. Louis. We came to Quincy used to play in St. Louis. We would go to their games and watch them play, and uh, so it's a unique city. It's a special city, and it's so interesting to me how the United States soccer family resembles the St. Louis soccer family because when you think of St. Louis, you think not only of geographically of the different neighborhoods, but also the ethnicities and the different backgrounds, the Hill, the Italian background, the the Hispanic background that Terry's brother's working in, the all of it's like a United Nations in one city, and doing the international sport in one city better than anywhere else in the country. And now we have the whole country being knitted together by the High School Champions League movement. And it's just so funny that uh, that this entire nation has in every metro area that we talk to the same story with different names. And the story is expensive pay to play clubs pushing back on high school soccer and making life hard for them. And high school soccer coaches saying, man, I'm working for pennies on the hour. Just leave me alone, please, and let me do my thing. I don't hate you. Don't hate me.
Hey,
It's a story all over.
hey, Jim, when you mentioned the big Q, Quincy, I
Yes.
the person who got it together, we didn't know where we were going to put the final. Everybody's because City kind of like abandoned us like on the store doorstep like an orphan,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
and we didn't know where to go, how to go, and the big Q, Eric Delabar,
Yes.
yeah, baby. He's an assistant coach over there at Maryville University, and he said, "Come on in, fellas, come on
That's
in." And the whole deal was is that he went, and when we played against each other in high school, I thought he was a county guy. Well, I
yeah.
come to find out, man, he's a cousin of the city slicker of the Donovans up in the north on the north side, and
Oh,
oh yeah, man,
that's so cool.
wow,
Well,
yeah,
I'm going to share with you. I went to Quincy at the same time Eric Delabar was there, and he and I weren't friends. We just didn't really know each other, but I watched him play, I don't know, 50 games for Quincy at least. And you talk about a fearsome guy, man. I mean, he was worth a 1-0 lead before the game even started
yeah,
because you know, Kevin, being a goalkeeper, it's a mental game as much as anything else. And forwards had to have their head on a swivel because when he came out for a cross, there ain't nothing stopping him to get to the ball. And and that's a statement. That makes a statement. But it gives confidence to defenders, and it allows everybody to cheat up a little bit, knowing that the big man is back there is going to save themselves,
yeah,
save them. And so that's amazing that connection comes all the way back to saving the high school champions league. And you know, Jack McKenzie, I don't know why this happened, but he took me under his wing while I was at Quincy. I wasn't one of his players. The great, do you know the name Frank Longo?
oh come on, yeah, man, yeah,
Well,
sure,
the great Frank Longo was a college classmate and teammate of my uncle, my father's brother, at Quincy in the 1950s. When my uncle played football for Quincy, American football for Quincy, and so were lifelong friends, my uncle and Frank. That was my introduction to the game of soccer, was through Frank Longo, who introduced me to Jack McKenzie, who decided that I was worth taking under his wing and helping. And I remained friends with Jack Coach McKenzie, until he died. He followed all of what we did here in Tampa,
wow,
and he recruited three of our players back up to Quincy over the years.
nice.
So it's amazing, this family, Kevin. It's just amazing how,
Welcome to the family.
yes, it really is.
From the
It,
musical Oliver, he was just you got it.
you know, and it goes down to Perry Vanderbeck. So we invited Perry to
Yes,
be at our draw, and Perry wasn't there 10 minutes to where he pulls us aside and says, "We've got to get this to St. Louis."
wow.
You know, and Perry, of course, Tampa Bay Rowdies. So it's crazy. So let me get to the fourth name on my list.
All right.
And the fourth name is this guy, Tom Condon. I don't know him yet because I haven't talked with him yet, but he has written an email, said he's looping in Chris Bentley, the chief sporting officer of U.S. Youth Soccer. He is the what is his title? He is the chief executive officer. He's the CEO of U.S. Youth Soccer. So, according to due to David's introduction, David says. he or Tom says, Jim, we got to get together. I want you to meet this guy. We want to learn at USU soccer. What is this high school Champions League movement? What is it all about? David did a great job of explaining to them how the movement works and how there's a sentence I'm looking for in David's letter that I want to say to you because you'll love it. He goes, oh, he says, this is David talking to the CEO of USU Soccer. He says, the High School Champions League is self sustaining. It will continue with or without USU soccer support. 8 years in operation, surviving every shift in American soccer across that period, expanding city by city under its own governance. He said, I think you should know each other. So, so he's nailed it. David has nailed it. He's nailed the essence of the Champions League movement. We're whatever anybody else does is irrelevant. We're doing what we do. And if you want to sit up and take notice, great. We want you to. If you're a pay to play club, we want to work with you. But if you don't, that's fine too. Because our existence is not about climbing the ladder of soccer in America. It's about using high school soccer to forward the mission of creating, better citizens and better people. And so this Tom Condon and the sporting director, we're going to meet. I may fall flat on my face. I mean, I'm just a retired gym teacher, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get Perry in that meeting too, and Perry can make sure I don't trip over my tongue in that meeting. So, so we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to coming back maybe next week and reporting, or whenever we've had that meeting, and reporting on how it goes. I want to get to the fifth name, and then before I take up any more time. And Kevin, I want to ask you, have you ever heard of a league called the UPSL?
Yes.
Okay. So the UPSL can kind of safely be described as like the fourth division of American soccer. You got MLS, you got the USL Championship, USL League One and League Two might be considered like the third division. The UPSL is under that. They've got over 450 adult teams in 46 different states in America. I actually think one of the states they don't have a team is Missouri, believe it or not. Crazy enough, but they're all over the place. And the UPSL is a natural ally for the High School Champions League because the people that play on UPSL teams are youngsters that are looking to further their career, that don't want to stop playing, that love playing, that maybe see it as a stepping stone to the USL or possibly MLS or other higher levels of soccer. But it keeps them involved. And Kevin, you've been a high school coach long enough to where you're standing there at the end of your last game your senior year, and you've got all these strapping seniors in front of you, excellent players, excellent athletes, ready to keep playing, but really no place else to go. If they're not going to go play in college, it kind of just dies right there at the age of 18 unless they have opportunities to get on a team. Now in St. Louis it doesn't die because they can get on one of the great adult teams in St. Louis and play in the Sunday leagues, which is a great level of play as we know. But throughout the nation, you go one metro area to the next. When that kid, especially the kid, if the kid isn't dialed into high level pay to play, when that kid finishes their senior year in high school, where are they going to go? Well, the UPSL has the kinds of teams that a really good high school player can try out for and further extend their career. Throughout the United States, a lot of UPSL teams who play in the summer, by the way, remember the great old summer leagues that St. Louis used to have? Like, I remember people on the Quincy team playing in summer league ball in St. Louis, high level ball. Am I talking out of school here? Do I am I
I
am I
think about it every other day.
well, well
I
there
was
it
I
is.
was almost an all-star in that league.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. You could have been a contender.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, 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 well. This is again the nation reflecting the St. Louis model, because now think of the UPSL as a nationwide version of that league. Top quality people who have fallen through the cracks and they need a place to play. Okay, so we reached out to the UPSL and to their CEO. He's a kid named Chris. I say a kid, he's not a kid anymore. Christian Viejos. And I'm going to spell his last name because I probably butchered it on the pronunciation. It's Vallejos. And Christian, it turns out, is from Florida. And it further turns out he went to Sunset High School in Miami. And it further turns out that his Sunset High School teams ran in the same circles with my Clearwater Central Catholic high school teams back in the early 2000s. And Christian is a lover of high school soccer. And he graduated and he formed this idea to start the UPSL. And a lot of people told him he was crazy. But he was telling me, I talked to him last week or this week actually, and he was telling me that he has these memories in high school soccer of playing at places like FIU and other big college arenas down there in Miami that club soccer didn't get him to, high school did. And playing on these fields and dreaming of what could be next for him. And that's a dream that he thinks is worth supporting. He started the UPSL to support this. Well, it's 450 teams later. They're growing and they're growing like a weed. So I proposed to Christian after we reminisced about, past games and stuff. And I explained to him what the High School Champions League was about and proposed to him that the High School Champions League and the UPSL are natural allies and could become allies. And the UPSL could sponsor the High School Champions League, or we could find a way to officially work together. Well, he is all over it. He's going to attend our next national Zoom meeting, broadcast exclusively by Whale Certified Podcast, by the way. Uh, May 3rd is the next meeting, and Christian will be there. He said, I just want to come as a guest. I want to listen. I want to hear what it's all about. I want to get to know this more. He said, high school soccer is what drove me, in part, to start the UPSL. And I really see the vision of high school kids needing a jumping off point, especially kids that aren't in the protected corridor that's created by pay to play. That's the thing, Kevin. And I know you feel this way, and I do too. This protected corridor for the well-to-do, I don't have anything against people with money. I love people with money because I love all people, and I love all people that love soccer. And it's not the kids' fault that they're in a protected corridor because their parents can afford to put them in these clubs. But what about all the kids that can't get in that protected corridor? What about all the kids that are out there just fighting? Maybe they play at a public school. Maybe they don't have a whole lot of money. Maybe they only have one parent who doesn't work who's not a lawyer or something, right? And but they have their dream is just as real as everybody's, and they can play for their high school. Well, to know that there's a UPSL team that they can try out for, and maybe from there get noticed and maybe make it to a USL team, or possibly even a career beyond that, or even if it's not climbing a career, just to continue to enjoy the game. I mean, all the people that played in that Sunday league with you, probably yourself included, you weren't thinking, okay, this is my stepping stone to Bayern Munich. You were just playing because you love to play, right?
Well,
Because we're
just a
all.
little bit. I thought of you.
Hey, hey, whatever floats our boat,
Yeah,
right?
baby.
Picks
Yeah.
us up and gets to training and makes us, God, Kevin, I don't know how you goalkeepers do it, man. I just don't know. I just don't know. When I would coach my keepers, I would uh, I would I would make such a big fuss about the keepers and about how everybody doesn't understand about how once when somebody's about to kick something at you as hard as they can, you run the other way and cover up, but the keeper runs toward it and makes himself bigger and hopes the ball hits him. Think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
It's like a firefighter. Most
Right.
people run away
Exactly.
from firefighters. Some people run into the fire.
Yeah.
You know, that's a special mentality. So I used to have a rule. I don't know if this was good coaching or not, but I used to have a rule for my keepers. I used to say, you are allowed one total nightmare per half, and we should be able to make up for it. We should be able to score a goal to make up for it because the other 10 people working together should at least be able to get one goal. And that's if you have a total nightmare, that's your fault. And so I used to say, if there's a total nightmare, don't worry about it. You're allowed one per half. Well, of course, no keeper ever used up their allotment of total nightmares. And so then they would get through a game with no nightmares. And I would say, okay, you got two in the bank. We're not even worried about that. Now you got two more for the next game. And they would get these bank accounts built up to where by the time, we got to the end of the season, these keepers weren't as worried about making a mistake as as they might have been. The best I could do for my keepers, because I couldn't teach them the techniques of keeping, was to give them the support of knowing that I see you, I understand the work you're doing, I understand its value, and I know I need you to be confident in yourself and believing in yourself and listening to your goalkeeper coach and not worrying if something bad happens. Because if the keeper has a total nightmare, the scoreboard changes. You know,
Wow, Jim. That's great clinic, man. That was a coach's clinic. Everybody can learn from that. That was beautiful, man.
Yeah. Well, and I find that goalkeepers are, you know, they tend to be people, they don't need a whole lot. After all, they're already the goalkeeper. So, so they're already at the farthest away from the other team's goal. They're probably not ever going to score a goal. And although I did have one keeper, he's a U.S. Marine right now. Boy, he would be a great guest on the Whale Certified podcast. His name is Matt Thomas. He scored a goal. You know how the keepers go up for late corner kicks?
Yeah.
Well, he actually scored one. You love it when that happens.
Wow.
And yeah, so anyway, so my just to summarize my five names: David Koesi Mazuka, board member of U.S. Youth Soccer, research papers, and he's dialed in with the Champions League. He's got us connected with this Tom Condon, who is the CEO of U.S. Youth Soccer. So between Tom and his sporting director, we're going to meet soon. Shane Benko, the research assistant for the U.S. Committee on Small Business, U.S. House Committee on Small Business. He played in the Champions League, could be a guest for the Whale Certified podcast. Robert Wilson, already a guest on a Whale Certified podcast. He's now dialed in with Nick Slaughter, Tom Byer, with David, and with Shane, and the UPSL Commissioner, Christian Vallejos. He would make a great guest, and he would come on in a heartbeat with you, Kevin. This UPSL. What I recommend everybody do, if they don't know about the UPSL, is just look it up online. Just go on their Wikipedia page, and they list every team that they have all throughout the country. The list just goes on and on. It's amazing how many teams they have going. It'll blow you away. It'll blow you away how many adult teams are populating this country. So that's what I got this week, Kev.
Wow, baby. I mean, you brought it. You brought the pack. You got the, yeah, man, you did good. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll have more to report next week for the Whale Certified podcast. I really appreciate your coverage of the Champions League. Looking forward to our meeting on May 3rd. with you being there and Perry hosting, and maybe even some of these guys that I just talked about might be there as well. Our Champions League Zoom meetings are open to anybody in the country that wants to attend them.
Mm-mm-mm.
All right, my brother,
All
let's
right.
call it a day, shall we?
Yes, yes, man. I tell you. So I'll download it, upload it, send it out to you, and put it out.
Beautiful. All the best, everybody. Talk to you soon.
All right, Jim. Bye bye.